Hey, thank you. Making yourself useful.
Oh, you want to play with Bayonetta?
Good morning. I've been tri-wielding jobs. That's why I haven't been, asking to hang out. I haven't been streaming. Well, there's another reason I haven't been streaming. We'll find out about that soon. But, yeah, I've been busy. In fact, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I have to help my neighbor in, a couple hours, so figure I might as well stream. Got a bunch of modded characters here. Giving this game another chance. I have
My turn
Bayonetta,
now.
Simulation
Hyper
complete.
Real.
Commandant, we're going to win this fight.
Haven't tried him yet. Soul. I have Sonic.
Let's do it.
X Series Zero of Haseo.
See.
Zero Series Zero, which is the best Zero by far. I grew up with this
Now
Zero,
the real fun starts.
but this one that came out when I was graduating high school was, he's the best Zero. I have, what's this guy's name? Deku? I basically just got all the, like, melee characters. This guy. I never watched any, My Hero, but he looks pretty cool. They got Noctis as well. There's actually quite a bit of,
I am Noctis, Prince of Lucis
melee
and
characters
King
for
of
this game.
Fishing!
It's actually surprising how many there are. I think people realize this is kind of like the, I have Sora as well. I think people kind of realize that this is kind of the best thing, right? There's no character action roguelikes right now, except for like Ultra H. Ultra H has a roguelike mode, but it's kind of bare bones. Boss fights in that game aren't very good. The builds are very uninteresting. There's no character action roguelikes right now, so there's a lot of characters. I'll try Bayonetta because I just did a run with Dante offline. Dante is pretty fun, but the control scheme for him isn't the best. Dante can juggle. She can too. I do the moves again. I gotta find out how to do the moves. Nah, Bayonetta can straight up juggle big enemies in this game. It's at her full strength. The Ghost Vanguard actually just got a big demo as well, so we're gonna do a bunch of roguelikes since Absolum is tomorrow. The Ghost Vanguard just got a major update, so I'm gonna check that out too. Basically just killing time until my neighbor calls me, because
You've got the right eye
that
for
pays a lot
talent.
better than this does. So it's movement inputs, alright.
Too late.
Damn it, mod's not working, what the hell? One of the PGR music, I don't like the music in this game. Why is it not working? It's good music, I just don't like it. Let me see if I can fix that. Yeah, it's supposed to be this. Where's the PGR music? This game is annoying to test stuff on because it takes so damn long to load. It's one of those games that takes forever before you can get the gameplay. It's really obnoxious, actually. Should load faster. I'm really sick of games taking forever to load. Like, just to get to, like, a playable state takes way too long. Alright, I'm gonna try to fix this. Give this, like, one shot. I don't know, the music in this game just doesn't vibe with me. It's great music. I just don't vibe with it. A lot of people are incapable of realizing, you know, maybe something doesn't suck. It's just, you don't like it. Or you don't vibe with it, but first response is always, this sucks. It's like, you know, maybe it doesn't suck. It's just, you know, not your thing. People do it pretty much every Nintendo Direct. Like, oh, this is garbage. I'm like, well, it's not for you. It's not for you. You can't call it garbage. They do it every Nintendo Direct. Like, oh, this is bad. Like, they show, like, a farming game or something. I'm like, dude, there's plenty of people who like those games, man. Maybe not people like me that, you know, like action games and stuff, but there's obviously an audience for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep making them. It's kind of why, like, even though Mario Kart World is not very well liked, it's a good thing that it exists, because arcade racing has been dead for quite a while. There was, like, that really long period where after Burnout Paradise came out, there were, like, no arcade racers at all. Like, beat 'em ups were, like, dead until Castle Crashers came out. There was, like, a good maybe 7 years or so where there were, like, no big budget beat 'em ups. I mean, there weren't really any at all, because back then, you know, indie games weren't They weren't as much of a thing. I mean, they definitely still were a thing, but... Did it fix?
My turn now.
Cosmic Invasion deserves the criticism. It deserves it. But yeah, it's definitely the same thing. People are incapable of grasping that maybe something is not made for them. Like, just because they don't like it doesn't mean that there aren't people who do like it. My problem with Cosmic Invasion is it tries too hard to be friend slop. Like that game Godbreakers I played, I thought the boss fights were horrible, but at the same time, I can see why people would like that game. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to play with friends, but I felt like it came at the expense of the solo experience actually being fun. So that's why like a lot of beat 'em ups don't have hit stun on bosses and stuff, because balancing it around having 4 players. I'm like, that's still the minority, right? It's gotten a little bit more practical to design a game around having people, you know, like co-op and stuff. Now that beat 'em ups are actually getting online and functional netcode, but I don't think that the game should be designed around it. It should be designed around solo play. And I feel that that's why the bosses in that game just walk through everything, and I just don't find that fun. Personally, I find that very boring. I want the combo system to mean something. But it doesn't. It doesn't for a number of reasons. The first is everything dies so quickly, which I mean is good for pacing, but then you can't do it on bosses either. If they just walk out of everything, like, I don't know if I really want to buy that game instantly. The demo didn't really give me a lot of confidence, but you know, maybe it's just not for me. It's very hard for people to understand that. I think Tales of Arise is kind of different because there are really good things about that game, and it was made with a lot of effort and love, just not in the right places. And the problem with Arise is that even if you're only playing it for the story, it falls apart. The story in that game takes a massive dump at the end. And if that was the only reason you're playing, then yeah, I can understand it. They did put a lot of work into that game, it just wasn't in the right places. Hey, you know, people like that game too, they legitimately like it. Hey, that's fine. I may not agree with their opinion, but you know, they enjoy it, they enjoy it. The world sucks enough as it is, just let people enjoy what they want, but yeah, people have a hard time grasping that. I mean, I was like that when I was a kid, but I grew out of it. You know, I definitely have some big opinions on things, but you know, I understand that, you know, people like those things for a reason. I just think it's a mistake to balance a game around one player, especially like even considering that the co-op might be popular. I mean, eventually the game's going to be a Discord fighter, right? It should be balanced around the solo experience. And I think that's the problem with Cosmic Invasion. Exactly the problem with it. Why are you balancing it around co-op? Like, that's why the bosses just walk through everything. Like, in like 2 months, there's not going to be anybody playing the game. Not to the extent that you can just go on and get a match. I mean, pretty much every game that's not an active service game, like Fortnite, 2XKO, Rainbow Six, all those kinds of games, like, it drops off hard after a month. And I think that's the biggest mistake that they're making, is balancing it around that. You want the game to be actually fun to play when, you're not really going to be getting a 4-player match by using random search, or player match. Like, that's just not going to happen past, like, the first month. And that's being generous. And that's my problem with how the game is designed. But it looks like a lot of fun with friends, If you have a group to run it with, it's probably a very enjoyable game. But I definitely don't agree. I don't think long-term, balancing a game like that around co-op is not a good idea, because it's really only going to matter for the first month. And it pretty much is going to be like every fighting game, basically, that's not Street Fighter or Tekken, where there are people playing it. It's not like the game is completely dead, but, you're going to have to put in the extra effort to go into a Discord and make friends, and, I understand that not everybody wants to do that. I get it. More popular games, you don't have to do that. Log on at any time, Get back from work at 2 a.m. and you can get to a match right away. Hopefully, though, budge a little bit on the bosses just walking through everything, because that makes me not get too excited for that, personally. I mean, I'm lucky. I have a YouTube community. I have a Discord community, so getting matches for that game would be a matter of arranging a time and seeing when people are available. But not everybody is that fortunate. It's gonna be dead in a month. Streets of Rage 4 was like the most popular beat 'em up, pretty much. At launch, it had like thousands of people on Steam, which for a beat 'em up is very good. Maybe the numbers weren't as good as, Marvel Rivals launch or something, but there were a lot of people on. But I can tell you from experience, after like 2 weeks, it was a Discord fighter. Now, granted, part of that was because the netcode in Streets 4 was not very good. It was not rollback, so if you're not lucky enough to have the people you run it with be close proximity, it was barely playable, but that doesn't have as much of a bearing as people think. Games that have a finite amount of content don't really have long lifespans online. Yeah, I'm gonna play that after this.
Nice pow.
Shit, like Hunter x Hunter was literally dead on arrival. That's another thing as well, like, if the game doesn't have, like, 30,000 players at all times, people call something dead, but Hunter x Hunter Net Impact actually was dead on arrival. Like, I think, like, launch day, it had, like, 300 players players, which is still playable. It's still playable, you know, because you only need one other person to actually be able to play the game, but that's really bad, and it definitely didn't even keep 300. A lot of the really niche fighting games like Under Night and Skullgirls and stuff, like, they can still pull, like, 300 players, so, you know, you can go and find a lobby real quick. It's pretty painless. You may not even have to go in Discord, but that was an example of a game that actually was dead on arrival. Because everybody says that for everything now. It was actually true, though. At this. Let's play Ghost Vanguard instead. I don't think I'm ready to stream this on main. This is more of a Discord stream game. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Those mods are really fun though. Let's do Ghost Vanguard. We'll do that. I just got an update. Let's do that instead. Showing myself being bad at something. I mean, they patched Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge was garbage at launch because of the taunt spam. The taunt spam in that game completely ruined it. They did fix that eventually, but basically kind of had to pull their arm to get them to do it. They didn't really understand, like... The game had problems like, when you did a throw, you weren't invincible. So when you fought Chrome Dome, and you did the throw, you could just get killed. I'm like, how do you not notice that that's a problem? Like, that mechanic dates back to Final Fight, you know, a 35-year-old game. People in their Discord, like, pulling their arm to get them to do it. Like, how do you not notice that this is a problem? You have enemies that you want us to throw, but then you take half your health because you're not invincible. And then that, and the whole taunting being better than, like, actually engaging with the mechanics was stupid as well. It definitely got better over time, but it was not... I don't think it was a good game at launch. It had a good foundation, but there were too many boneheaded things that they did with it. Like, I don't know if people remember launch Shredders. Screen's black again, really. What's going on with my XSplit? Why is this not working? There we go. Oh, it's fixed now. I mean, just the fact that you're, like, invincible during throws. In Cosmic Invasion is already a pretty big improvement. Also, they want you to keep moving forward instead of, taunting. The only cool thing about taunting for the supers was it did add a little bit of a strategic thing to the game where, you know, there were times where you could taunt during a boss and not get hit. And I think that definitely was kind of interesting. But the problem was it became the optimal way to play, was not moving forward. The game is supposed to be designed like an arcade game, but it wasn't. It's pretty much... An arcade game will not let you do that. And you can tell that they like didn't play actual arcade beat-em-ups. They made those decisions. Game feels a lot better. It's faster and more responsive. Shredder's Revenge at launch was a mess. I actually think it was considerably worse than Launch Street Spore, which had different problems. Everybody that wasn't Cherry was slow as molasses. Cherry and Adam were the only ones that felt fast, and then all the hyper armor and stuff. But Launch Street Spore was way better than Launch Shredders. Definitely. Street Spore at launch was not as fast as people wanted it to be, but it was still more of a game that felt like an arcade game than Shredders, which failed to understand arcade beat-em-up philosophy, wanting you to keep moving forward. Especially because, you know, it's an arcade game. They need to keep you moving or get you off the machine. But, you know, that was the reason why arcade beat-em-ups were designed that way. Arcade games were about rotating through people playing on it to make more money, but it's kind of like actually good design to design the game that way. But they didn't. That was the issue. There wasn't any incentive to keep, like, constantly moving forward like an actual arcade game. It's a very easy thing to fix, which is why the game is better now, because that's not a problem anymore. They nerfed the taunt, and that made the game a lot better. Adding an arcade beat-em-up timer is not the solution. That's not the solution. That's about as far from the solution as you can get. But there's other ways to get people to, you know, keep moving. Hello.
Ready? Go! Perfect.
Yeah, I talked to the developer just like an hour ago. I talked to him. I was very glad that I've been putting up 1cc's for this. Like, yeah, this is the kind of shit that I like, man. I like games that could pass for arcade games. Because there aren't really arcade games anymore. I mean, there are, but not the kind of stuff I like. Arcade games now are pretty much racing and rhythm. Those are like the main things. Beat 'em ups and fighting games got pushed out hard. I mean, fighting games are still pretty prominent, but only in Japan, and that's because of the DRM, Nessica, and all that has killed. It's killed fighting games outside of Japan, like completely, like completely dead. But beat 'em ups have been dead since 2011, pretty much, and even that was Knights of Valor and Oriental Legend, which we don't have access to. So I like games like this that pass for arcade games, because that's pretty much my origin. As much as people complain about roguelikes, I'm like, I like these kinds of games because it's the kind of stuff I grew up with. Grew up with gameplay first games. That was pretty much all I really played. What's up, Willie? Hello. Yeah, I've been busy with helping my neighbor, among other things. And basically try-wielding jobs. And the reality is this one makes the least money. I got a Switch too for helping my neighbor, right? That would have taken like a year and a half of not spending a dime from what I make from this channel, so that's been the priority. That's not the only reason. I enjoy helping her. It just hasn't really been anything super interesting to play. That's gonna change tomorrow. And Double Dragon Revive is in like a little over a week. And Ninja Gaiden I already paid for. So hopefully those games will do well, but who knows. Not doing clickbait or drama farming on this site these days. It's pretty much just RNG if the algorithm will give a damn about what you're doing, but we'll see. Yeah, it's a good month for beat-em-ups. 2 beat-em-ups this month. Zelia remasters at the end of the month. I'm the least excited for that. Mostly just because I've played that game before and I'm not really interested in it until Meebo mods out the bosses bursting. I will commission him to do that if I must. Zelia 1 is just a depressing game because the combat is really good. It was a really big evolution, but for some reason they decided to make melee combat terrible. Because they watched too many sweat lords like me play Vesperia and stuff, and Graces. Like, yeah, we don't want you doing that. Like, but why? Spamming magic is not supposed to be the optimal way to play, but in that game it is, though. The speedrun basically does, like, no melee combat outside of the beginning. As soon as you get Rowan and Elise, you basically just stand back and cast. That was their idea of good design. Like, what did you accomplish by neutering melee combat like that? You trivialized the game. I mean, it's possible that maybe they fixed the boss fights, but nothing has really... there's no concrete evidence that they have, and... given that the accuracy system in Graces is one of the biggest complaints about it, Graces Remastered did not tweak that stuff at all. It was identical to the Wii and PS3 versions, so... it's probably going to be a mod thing. That's kind of why I'm, like, not super interested in that. But, my YouTube penny should come in. Check's probably going to be, like, $30 this month, because the channel's been doing abysmal. But, it'll pay for that game, so... hey, that's cool. Oh, yeah, I'm not really looking to play it frame 1. I'm just gonna be mauling over how shit the boss fights are if you try to play melee. I don't think anybody wants to watch that. To be complaining over and over. I think I'll hold off. I mean, it's a valid complaint. It's not like one of those nerfs where people are just like, you know, you made the game harder and I don't like that. It's just straight up bad. Because melee combat is not viable. It could have balanced it a lot better. Well, light side, the thing is they should have just had both games in there. There is no justification to not have them both. They are on the same engine. They're literally released like a year and some change apart. It was pretty much about the amount of time that passes between a Call of Duty game, so about a year. There is no reason, no justification for them not having both of them in a 2-pack, other than trying to pad it out, which is what they need to not be doing, because there's like 14 or 15 Mothership Tales games, and they only have like 6 of them available on evergreen platforms. Ideally, they should have just had both, and then incorporated the changes from 2. You know, like the Raiden remaster, where they like took the changes from the second one and they put it in the first one. But we all know that Namco doesn't give a damn about Tales, and they do the bare minimum effort. So, yeah, that's my problem with it. It's not like it's this major upgrade. You know, it basically is an asset flip. It's far worse than, say, an RGG game. RGG also spams games like every year, but they have like way more unique content than Xillia 2 does. It really should have been both. There's no reason for it not to be. Ideally, they would have just like bumped up the price, like doubled the price so that it's like $60, the full $60, but you get both games, and then they incorporate changes from the first one. But this is Bamco we're talking about, and they hate Tales, and they do absolutely nothing with it. But yeah, that's how it should have been. You know, back then, there wasn't really, especially with like Japanese games, there weren't really a lot of mainstream engines being used to make games, so I could understand, you know, like the East games were on like the same engine for like the longest time. I forget what that engine's called. It's called like the Torque engine or something. And I think that's part of the reason why they were able to get like pretty much every mainline East game on Steam. You know, an actual evergreen platform, you know, that you won't have to replace in 5 years. I think that's part of the reason. Yeah, a lot of games back then, especially for Tales, they had like proprietary engines. But it's like, why can't you have both if the games came out a year apart? Like, what justification is there for that? I do think that part of it, if it wasn't completely trying to just pad out something that should be easy to do, I think maybe the price may have been a concern, because people just wouldn't really want to buy a $60 remaster of a Weeb game like that. But I don't know how much of an excuse that is. That's a pretty weak excuse if you even think about it for more than a minute. Yeah, it's a mess. the heck is this move? Goes backwards. Oh, I'm an idiot. This game would be a lot better with motion inputs. It's the same problem as Hunter x Hunter, where they're so scared to just put motion inputs in the game that the game has way too many buttons, and it actually makes the game more complicated. I don't know why they didn't adopt the Battle for the Grid control scheme, which was a lot better. I guess you have like more move slots this way, but I really wish that they would just add a motion option. I don't know why they're so scared to have motion inputs when it like actually is making the games worse. Like, apparently you can't even play Hunter x Hunter on stick because it uses all buttons. You can't even play it on stick. How do you design the game so badly that it's impossible to play on stick without either having like Hulk hands or giving yourself cramps? I think it is that game's biggest failure. Fighting games should not take up all 8 buttons for mandatory actions. You know, like, shortcuts is fine. You know, if you want to have like 3 punches and 3 kicks for like wave dashing or doing supers or whatever, that's fine. You know, that's up to the player's agency, but it shouldn't be like every button on the controller is used. That isolates so many people from being able to play. Like, people who play on stick, people who may be physically disabled. I think that's the biggest problem with that game, besides the price and the lack of content, is just assuming that everybody wants to play with a controller, or even can. There are definitely people out there that can't play on pad. You know, they need to be able to play on a stick because of a physical disability. But that game takes up every button. This is not as bad. It's still 6 buttons, but they could have condensed it so much if they just had motion inputs. I'm giving it a shot. I haven't been into a fighting game since Grid, pretty much. The thing that people don't understand is motion inputs were never about gatekeeping or elitism. Of course, there are people who promote that kind of thing, but it was a way to give you more moves with less buttons. I know, like, the Neo Geo only had 4 buttons, right? A, B, C, D. And they had a bunch of button combos and stuff that they could do because most of the cabinets had the exact same button layout, but you could not play a game like this on 4 buttons. I mean, you just can't. It's not designed that way. People will think like, oh, it's elitist to make you do motions. I'm like, well, yeah, the Raging Storm motion, yeah, that is gatekeeping for sure, because there's no reason for that motion to be that difficult. But like, motion inputs also were a part of the game balance as well. You know, if you could do a Sonic Boom with quarter circle forward, Guile in Street Fighter 2 would be busted, right? Having to charge was what balanced the move. Which is part of the reason why Street Fighter 6 at launch had, like, modern characters that were a little bit overpowered. Because the balance that goes into the inputs, you know, just gets ignored when you can just push a button. And it's good for accessibility. I'm not saying that having the simple modes is bad. A lot of elitists will say that because, you know, they just don't remember that they once had to learn how to do a fireball as well. They've been doing it for so long, they don't remember that it was an alien concept to everybody at some point. But, you know, I remember there were problems with some modern characters in Street Fighter 6, I think, because, you know, you can just do a move without having to charge or do a 360, you know, the input method is directly tied to the balance. But yeah, stuff like what you just mentioned is, you know, it didn't need to be that way. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize that as well. The input of a move can affect its balance. You know, they specifically came up with the charge motion because they wanted to have a slow-moving projectile with the sonic boom, but, you know, if you could just do it like Ryu, then, you know, you could just put so many of those on the screen and completely control space. You know, having to hold back for 2 seconds prevented that. And if you take that away, then the whole balance changes, right? But yeah, I think they should stop being scared of people, people wanting motion inputs. Double quarter circle forwards are fine. 360s and like pretzel motions and stuff. I would argue that that is kind of gatekeeping. Alvi, the budget has nothing to do with how Hunter x Hunter is designed, where they completely forgot that, like, you're supposed to condense the amount of buttons that are used. There's a number of reasons for that. The first is shortcuts. You want there to be space on the controller for shortcuts. You know, like, not everybody can play Claw. I used to play fighting games Claw on controller, but then I stopped doing that because it was not good for my hands. you want to at least have like 1 or 2 buttons free for shortcuts, so that playing on controller isn't like an inherent disadvantage, because part of the problem with modern fighting games is, you know, button shortcuts like light and medium or light and heavy and stuff are actually kind of not very normal to use on a controller. They're not very friendly to use on a controller, so you want to have buttons that are available for shortcuts, because most people play on controller. And I do feel that as much as people complain about the control scheme in Hunter x Hunter, I can kind of understand why it was designed like that, but still, you know, they didn't put any thought at all into accessibility. I mean, there are people that can't play on controller. You know, they need to be able to have a stick or some other kind of special controller. And if the game uses all 8 buttons, I mean, they basically can't play it, right? Brawly Legs, for instance, rest in peace. That guy was awesome. I actually used to talk to him. You know, he basically used adapters for the 360 controller, I think. Because the way he played was with his mouth and the side of his face. You know, because he had that disease. And I know that it became difficult for him to just get the controller to work. Now, obviously, he played at a competitive level, right? His disability did not stop him. But what stopped him was controller compatibility. Like, if he was still alive today, you know, he probably would have liked Hunter x Hunter. You know, he played Marvel and stuff, but I really don't think he could have played it. I think it actually would have been impossible for him to play, because he would have had to use all 8 buttons. And I think about that every time I see that game, because, you know, he broke all those barriers, right? You know, he was very disabled, and he was still able to play at a competitive level, but, like, he couldn't play that game. He could have played this game for sure. I don't think this would have been too impossible for him, but Hunter x Hunter, yeah, he would have been gate-kept by that. That's really sad. I think he would have really liked that game. He passed away, like, last year. I'm liking this game. I wish it was not League of Legends, but it's pretty solid. League of Legends is the worst video game ever made. Such a toxic, miserable game. But this is pretty much the only good tag fighter right now, so... It actually has a player base. I would much rather play Battle for the Grid over this, but... You know, that game is a Discord fighter. League of Legends is, like, the worst video game ever made. I don't even understand why it's popular. People just like getting yelled at by strangers. I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna get yelled at by strangers, I want a paycheck. I don't want to be yelled at by strangers and do it for leisure. And that's exactly what League of Legends is. You get chewed out by people like a drill sergeant. But, you know, you're supposed to be having fun, right? I don't know. I don't understand it at all. I've seen how miserable that game makes people. I have a low frustration threshold just because of the mental illnesses I have, so I stayed far away from games like that. You know, if I get mad at myself... or the game, you know, the game doesn't have feelings, right? I don't want to be in a position where my low frustration threshold hurts an actual human being's feelings. But, I'm self-aware. A lot of other people are not self-aware, and they play that game to basically, let out their rage. Like, just play a Muso game or something, alright? But it does have some cool character designs. It's cool that you don't have to actually play the real game anymore. Because the real game is like the worst video game of all time. It's just not an enjoyable experience at all. League really is, if you worked at retail with horrible Karens and soccer moms and got chewed out for stuff that wasn't your fault, but you don't get paid for it. As the biggest analogy to what League of Legends is. Like, no, hard pass. I don't care if it's a mainstream popular game. No. Never playing that. It's like when Blizzard tried to make Overwatch less toxic. I'm like, well, that's impossible. You can't make it less toxic because it's a team-based game, and it's not like a fighting game or, you know, something else where the only person you can blame is yourself. Or there are instances where in a fighting game that definitely can still happen. Mostly if the netcode is bad and the other person is not using like basic etiquette, you know, like turning off their torrents and streams and stuff before they start playing, but much less so than a team-based game. They're like, we're gonna make this less toxic. I'm like, that's impossible. You can't, because it's a team-based game. Why do you think, like, when you're at school and you're a kid and they force you to play sports, like 90% of it is arguing? When I was a kid, I called it argue ball because nobody wanted to actually play. They just wanted to argue with each other. it's just human nature. You're doing something competitive. You never want to blame yourself. You always want to blame the other person. And I don't know what Blizzard was trying to say by doing something like that. You can't. Unless you, like, change how human minds work. You can't. The only way you can do that is if it's, like, completely cooperative and there's no, like, fail state for playing poorly. I mean, even PSO2 had that toxicity as well, where in the tower defense and stuff, people would rage quit if they felt you weren't doing it fast enough, and that screwed over everyone else because you didn't notice that they were gone, and just because of the distance that that map was, you needed a bunch of people. You didn't need them to play, like, super well, because the game was designed to reduce toxicity, but if, like, 4 people rage quit, I mean, and you didn't notice, that just starts the snowball effect of everybody else is rage quitting, and at that point it's warranted, because you only have 30 minutes to do the emergency quest, and, like, it's not worth continuing. Like, even that game had toxicity. That was about as bad as it got, but it was the same thing, right? The people weren't playing to the other person's standard, so they leave, but then that screws over everybody else. And the people that have good etiquette don't want to rage quit, but at the same time, it's warranted because so many people have left, and you just can't cover that much space. You needed minimum, a couple people at each base, to actually protect them. And because of the way that the game worked, you couldn't sprint. If they didn't have movement PAs, they couldn't get over there. The match was toast. It was cooked the moment that they rage quit. Yeah, it's just strange to me. They keep making competitive games. They're like, this one's not going to be toxic, we promise. I'm like, that's not possible. It's just how human minds work. When you can only blame yourself or, like, an external factor like lag or shit netcode, I mean, it's a lot harder to be toxic compared to, when you're in a team with, like, 16 other people. When they made me play sports in high school, obviously I'm an introvert nerd, and my exercise of choice is just walking. I barely did anything, and, like, nobody noticed because they were just always arguing. Just wanted to let out their rage at whatever was going on in their life at the time. They didn't want to actually play. Certainly weren't doing much exercise, that was for sure. Barely any. Standing around and verbally fighting with each other. Nice. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Probably grind out the points for him if I keep playing this. Kind of reluctant to spend money. Holy moly, it's a long combo. Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I did them all. Okay. Well, there. Let's do a little crash course on these again.
One more.
this game is another instance where people are complaining about having to, they're probably complaining about having to pay $10 for a character. I'm like, yeah, it is like 40% more than the average FTC fighting game character, but, you know, gacha games, it's like $100 to pity or more. Why have people's perception of microtransactions become so warped that, like, $10 to get a character guaranteed is too much money? I don't understand it, because $10 in most gacha games gets you jack shit. Yeah. At best, it's like 10 pulls, which, depending on how far you're into pity, may not make a dent at all or give you anything of value, but, like, I've seen it happen in the Otherworld Legends community as well. They're complaining that the character's $5. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, just don't go to Starbucks for one day. Buy one less Pepsi, one less bag of chips, and you have the character. I don't know, man. It's weird. Well, the skins I agree with, yes, but the skins don't affect gameplay. They're totally looking for whales by doing that, but, like, the characters are more than affordable. The PGR does that too, right? PGR does that. To get, like, some of those VFX coatings in PGR, it's pretty expensive. It's pretty expensive. But it doesn't affect gameplay. And a lot of people will say it's still predatory. I'm like, yeah, of course it is, but it doesn't give you a gameplay advantage. And there's enough people that have disposable income to buy that stuff. I don't, obviously. You know, I bought that Watanabe skin, and that was like $30, and I just bought it because I like the character, and I like male characters, and I wanted to show them that making male characters is viable. I wanted to prove a point, right? Because a lot of people in gacha games communities, they complain about there being no male characters, but then when they put one in, they don't buy the stuff for them. You know, but $10 for a character is fine. It is pretty inflated from, like, a premium, you know, pay-to-play fighting game, but honestly, it really isn't much different than Street Fighter 6, because Street Fighter 6, I think it's like $6 to $7, but then they do that Microsoft points system where you can't just outright buy the item. You have to buy, you know, an exclusive currency. So the price is actually pretty similar, actually. $100 skins. Also, that game Terminal Brigade I played, I think they, like, didn't even have pity for the skins. And the rates were, like, so low that you basically had to hit pity. Which is one of the reasons that game is dying. The main reason that game is dying is because the stuttering. The stuttering is because of the netcode, and they don't fix the netcode. But yeah, the skins in that game were definitely predatory, because I don't think there was really any chance that, like, somebody that was either free-to-play or a dolphin like me, like, I spend money on the free games that I play. I don't have a lot of money, obviously, but I don't play them completely free. I don't freeload. I do donate to the games pretty regularly, but I think in that game, like, it was possible to get the skins, unless you just had a ton of disposable income. Yeah, it's very strange. Like, when I was in the Otherworld Legends community, was the same thing. These people were complaining that the character was $5. I'm like, what other universe are you in, man? That $5 for a character is too much money. Like, I'm poor too, man. I live in perpetual poverty. I do not have a lot of money. This channel makes like $70 a month, barring the occasional donation. I am not rich, but how can you say that's a bad deal? Compared to, like, a MiHoYo game where it's like 108, well, not 180, it's probably more like 150, 160 pulls to guarantee a character if you lose the 50-50, because they do have the soft pity system. But, like, if you're a free player, you have to have, like, 160 pulls minimum. Even that might not be enough. Probably 165, 170 to be safe, to actually get a character. If you only have enough for one pity, I mean, it's literally 50% chance, right? I don't know, man. It feels like people just don't like any kind of monetization. It's like, well, if the game is free, it has to make money somehow. And if the skins are the most predatory thing about it, that's fine, if you ask me. Let the people that are CEOs or children of CEOs or people who are top 1% content creators that make like $500 every stream, let them buy that shit. I don't care if I'm priced out of a skin. I care if I'm priced out of like actual gameplay content. $10 is fine. If you like the game, I think that's a fair donation. I mean, it's no different than watching somebody stream like every time that they stream. You know, you just give them $10. It's not a lot of money, but it's basically like, here's a donation because, you know, you create something that I enjoy. It's not a life-changing amount of money, but it's a good gesture if you like somebody's content. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really get it myself. I'm like, the Otherworld Legends community was worse about it, though, because they were like, this is too expensive. How is it too expensive? A phone that can play that game is minimum like $100, $150. How can you tell me it's too expensive? That game doesn't even have any FOMO. That's what's interesting about Otherworld Legends, is it has no FOMO at all. The Battle Pass, you can pay like $4 to max it out, and then also you can get every skin from previous patches, so if you didn't play for months, like I haven't, you could just go get the skin outright. You can just pay for it for $9. Max out the Battle Pass, so if you don't have time to play every day, you can still complete everything. But that community was still complaining about a $5 character. I'm like, you guys, I'm sorry, you're cheapskates. And this is coming from somebody who lives in poverty. You guys are cheapskates. Like, dude, just skip McDonald's, skip getting chips, skip getting a Coke or something, and just buy the damn character. How is $5 too much money? Like, come on, man. Like, the developers have to make money somehow, right? They can't get by on you know, good jobs and thumbs up. They have to make money somehow. There's definitely something to be said about like AAA games being like the most expensive. Like, you know, Borderlands 4 is like $120 for everything, and the game barely feels finished without the content, without the DLC. But I don't know. There are free-to-play games out there that aren't looking to, you know, get every cent in your wallet.
Knuckle up. Takedown. What do you got?
I think Street Fighter 6 is more of a problem because they don't make things that people actually want. Which is, they want actual character skins, but everything is for the avatars. That's the problem. Like, everything is for the avatars. I remember they put out that Cannon Spike collab and people were going rabid over it. You know, I was like, I actually kind of understand. But I think what people misunderstand is that there are a lot of people that play SF6 and only play as the avatars. They don't care about competitive. And I'm like, well, they're clearly doing that for a reason. Like, there has to be some kind of reason why they're doing that. It's just like Diablo 4. And people are like, I want this game to be harder. It's like, well, the main demographic for Diablo 4 is not Path of Exile nerds. it's people that just want to play a couple weekends a season. You know, they have off a couple days a month, and they just play it hardcore for like a week or two, and then they don't log on again. The game has to be accessible for those people, because those are the people that are buying the microtransactions. The hardcore Path of Exile, like, ARPG blasters aren't buying that stuff. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand that. Like, they do it for a reason.
Select your champions. Yasuo. Select your fuse. Choose your destination. No second guesses.
Well, this is gonna hurt some feelings.
Those who seek trouble, find it.
Ari, is it true you can tell what I'm thinking all the time?
Ready! Let's go! On it! What do you got? All day! Knockout! Ready! Let's go! This one's yours. Mario! Unforgivable skill. Yasuo
200 $100 for a chance at character. The Faye James, that's not even enough, man. That's not enough. Like in a Mihoyo game, $100 is like only like 50 pulls, so that's not enough. In PGR, $100 would get you a lot farther if you're smart with how you spent it. But $100 in a Mihoyo game is like nothing. It's like 50 pulls. So barely half of what you need to hit a 50-50. If you don't have any currency built up, it's nothing.
What do you got? All day! 2x KO! Ready! Let's go! between a man and his redemption. Yasuo
It's more like just going strictly off buying the currency. It's probably more like a couple $100 to guarantee
Call for an
in the
enforcer.
Mohoyo game, especially because
A
the
drawn
package deals
blade
they have
is no
are
warning.
not very good value and they don't have many. So
ready. Let's go. KO. Ready. Let's go. Unforgivable skill. Yasuo wins.
how much are these skins? I haven't spent a cent on this. I'm not sure if I'll play it every day, but I'm just curious. $20. I mean, that's pretty normal, actually. It's like a pretty average price. What does this come with? What makes this worth $100? I mean, I just bought Ninja Gaiden 4 for that price. This actually is not a terrible deal. I think people are freaking out a little bit too much over the price. Because it's actually gameplay content. You're getting all these skins, and then 8 character tokens. That's basically, if you're crazy enough to buy this, you would basically have the next 4 seasons of this game, meaning like, the next year of characters you wouldn't have to grind for. I don't know, that doesn't seem so bad to me. It's not something that I would do, but I mean, if you're going to spend money on the game, this is not a terrible deal. And they're not making you gamble for it either. It's a flat rate, and a lot of games these days, it's all gambling, right? This one is actually not a bad deal. The fact that you get 8 characters, I mean, because how many tokens can you even spend right now? They give you 1 for free, and there's 4. But you know, that's with the assumption you want to play everybody. Most people aren't going to buy every character because it's not a gacha. There's no power creep, not in a traditional sense anyway, where like PGR, where you know you have to have the new character if you want to perform well. Most people probably aren't going to buy him or him. He's a big body grappler. He's a big body grappler, and that's traditionally a very niche character choice in a fighting game. There are people who really like them, but most people are more for like Zoomies characters or Rushdown or you know, something else like that. Most people probably aren't going to get him right, and then this character is kind of a joke character, and he doesn't look badass. He's not humanoid. Like 8 character tokens for $60 is not a bad deal if you're not going to buy everybody. If you're only going to get like one of the characters a season, that doesn't seem that bad. But I'm looking at it from the lens of somebody who plays gachas. Maybe not as much as I used to, but I don't know. It seems a little bit overblown. We were freaking out about it a little bit too much. Can you buy some of them individually? I guess that's the biggest problem, is that you can't. You have to buy this whole thing. So it is... I mean, that's basically a AAA game, right? This is basically a deluxe edition of a AAA game. You're also getting like $50 of credit as well. Of course, you got to think about, well, they decide the value of that stuff, right? It's not an actual physical item. So you can't exactly say that it's a good value, but I would argue, as somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, if I was going to be playing this at least like 1 to 2 hours a day, I think that either of these editions would be worth it. But this doesn't give you skins. It gives you $20 worth. So that's basically one skin, but you are getting 4 tokens, so you're getting 2 full seasons of the game if you want to get both characters. It's whatever. It's definitely predatory. I'm not going to sound like it isn't, but I don't think as much as people think it is. You don't have to gamble for the characters. I mean, that's pretty much like the biggest thing that would make it predatory. Gambling for skins could be bad if it's like Terminal Brigade, where it's insanely expensive and the rates are really low. So that basically somebody that doesn't spend a lot of money can't ever get that skin. But a flat rate is fine, but who knows if they're going to keep it like that, right? They might start doing that. Might start putting out Gooner skins. Put this character wearing barely nothing and make you buy loot boxes for it, and the rates are like 0.3% or something. Who knows if they're going to go that route. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. It wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if they did, but... Other cool thing about this game, too, is that they let you play the characters in training mode. That's actually a really big evolution of how these games work. It's one of the biggest problems with premium fighting games, is that to train against the character or even try them most of the time, you have to buy the DLC. And, you know, like Street Fighter 6 Season Pass for the season, for the year, is like $30. And you can only try them out for a little bit. You can't just play them in training mode. So this game has some really cool stuff that's actually not predatory. And I think that this matters more than, you know, Gooner skins that are $100 that don't affect gameplay. But, yeah, I just noticed that. I could just play as him, right? Let me see. Yeah, it just lets you play as him. That's pretty awesome. Pretty much every premium fighting game does not let you do that. You have to buy the character.
The battle for the ages is about to begin! One more! This one's yours! One more! What do you got? All day! What do you got? All day!
Warned you!
Call.
What? What do you got?
Maybe I'll keep playing this when I have time. Right now there's too many games coming out, but I don't like it as much as Battle for the Grid, and my muscle memory on that game is totally impacting my experience. But that's not the game's fault. That's my fault. Alright, well, my neighbor is ready for me to work over there, so I think that's going to do it for now. We probably need to get ready for Absolum and the anniversary, so I'll try to squeeze in another stream later. Kitty sitting streams have been kind of on hiatus because my Steam Deck is still disabled. The R1 button still doesn't work, so it's been very hard to do those streams because a lot. I was really doing a big PS2 kick for a while, but then like all those games require all 8 buttons, so I can't play them anymore. Like Xelia Remastered, that would be like the perfect. That'd be the perfect kitty sitting game, but you know, it's gonna use the R1. I don't remember the control scheme for that game actually. I'll see if I can do that. But yeah, she's wanting me to head over now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll probably do some Geno Kids and Astral Chain later today when I get back if I'm not too tired. I'm probably gonna tell my neighbor that I can't go too long today because tomorrow is the Absolum launch is at 6 a.m. my time, PST. So I have to be up for that. And then I also probably have to feed the cats tonight, so I got quite a bit going on today. So I'm going to go ahead and help them. I don't know how long it's going to take. Most likely after I take a nap, I'll probably hop back on. We'll do some, let's see what I do. I did some Risk of Rain today, but I'm like ass at that game. I don't know how much more of that I want to stream. I did 2XKO, which I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. It's just, it's not that I don't have the attention span for fighting games, they just don't interest me as much as they used to. Last fighter I played competitively was Grid, and I was pretty good at that game. I wasn't the best. I was above average. You know, I could rank like platinum every season, but that was the last fighting game I really liked. That was just a great game for me because I liked the gameplay with the tagging and stuff, and then I also like the source material, of course. I'm a big Toku fan, so all those things really helped. League of Legends does not have that at all. League of Legends is a shit game. It does have some cool characters, and I think it's cool that they're putting them in a different setting where it's not infested with toxicity. So maybe they'll have some more characters I vibe with. The wolf guy is actually pretty cool. I'll probably grind for him. Maybe I'll play it like a little bit every stream or something. Anyway, I'll be back in a few hours most likely. Thanks for watching.